Okay, let me set my fat butt down and put on the microphone. There we go. Hello, greetings. I wanted to kill two birds with one stone on this. Basically, give out some information and also correct a heinous falsehood that I've actually seen a lot of different places. Now, how does this really affect your photography? It really doesn't. I'm going to talk about the secret of some lenses. Now, it is the case that Nikon, to a greater degree, Canon has admitted that they've done away with it, and Pentax has admitted they've done away with it. But it is the case, and I'll get into specifics here, and I'll give you the information on the secret ingredient in Zeiss lenses and in Voigtlander lenses. Now you would think, here we go, here's the 35mm f4 lens, which, ever notice that the Zeiss lenses, especially the front element, have an unusual, outside of the crystalline vacuum deposited anti-reflective coating, have a really neat glassy look to them that is a lot shinier than kind of reminiscent of old crystal, like those old glass swan stuff you would see in your grandmother's, living room, and, the Swarovski stuff. That is leaded glass, and it is the case that the secret ingredient in Carl Zeiss lenses, some current Nikkor lenses, and Voigtlander lenses, and some other lenses, like included, is lead. That's right, lead. Now, before you start trying to blow smoke up my butt, it has been said that the European Union has banned all lead use, but that's not true. Glass are exempt from this ban because there's no available alternative. Lead and optical glass is excluded from the RoHS directive. There is two subsets to that, 5, which has to do with cathode ray tubes and electronic components, for fluorescent tubes, but subset 13, lead and cadmium in optical and filter glass, is excluded. Now, Europeans are like the Californians. I mean, sorry Europeans, but you're all crazy. And I mean that in a good way, but I mean, you're just, you're scared to death of stuff that is just, it's just like anything that's going to keep you from living to be 100 years old, potentially. Europeans have banned it, and that's really, really ridiculous. Californians are the same way. It's just insanity. I mean, leaded crystal is still used in like liquor decanters. I mean, I talk about liquor that's been, I don't drink it all, but, liquor decanters, and, it's actually, the lead is locked up in the glass, by the way. And people that actually worry about lead in their lenses, I mean, you're licking the lenses? You're still not touching the glass, you'll be touching the AR coating. The only issue is actually in the manufacture of leaded glass, because obviously lenses have to be ground down, but I did a lot of years of grinding on lenses, not camera lenses, but other lenses, glass lenses and plastic lenses. They all use a lot of water in the process, I mean a lot of water. But that causes a runoff of glass debris which has lead in it, but all of that is taken care of. Zeiss still does use lead in their glass. This is a fact. It is undeniable. I don't care how much you protest, but the secret ingredient, one of the secret ingredients in the Zeiss lenses, is lead. Now, here is an absolute fact. There are a couple people that repair really, really old Zeiss and Leica lenses, and they will tell you on their website, just flat ass out, that a lot of the newer lenses from other companies that have been around a long time, where they've gone all hippie, and they've switched completely to ED glass, which I'll mention that in another video. If you don't know what ED glass is, it uses chemical compounds like lanthanum dioxide, titanium dioxide, and like niobium dioxide and some others, that the glass is inferior. It has far worse MTF charts. And these lenses are actually heavy by for a reason. It's not because it has an all-metal chassis on them. Much of this is leaded glass. And there's a reason for that being good. I mean, These people that actually repair Leica and old Zeiss, I mean, these people that have been repairing lenses, I'll give you the link if you want. You can actually read it. These people have been repairing Leica and Zeiss lenses for decades. Decades. You know, fixing old ones that have balsam separation, or like the cement has turned brown after 50 years and God knows how many thousands of hours out in the field. They'll tell you that, and this is a hardcore fact that is undeniable, that the biggest secret and that cannot be permeated is trade secrets of glass manufacture and what the lenses are doped with. Okay, they call it glass doping. And this is an undeniable hardcore fact. And if you actually look through, I've got a couple obscure links that Zeiss still has up. Zeiss doesn't like to talk about this because people think, oh God, it's lead. I mean, you can sit there, and, you know, I could lick this lead ball for like a year, you know, and it still wouldn't have any effect. I mean, it just wouldn't. Lead is poisonous, and, you know, the Romans, I mean, many of them would live up into their 80s. I mean, it caused an issue, but they'd actually, because lead has a taste to it, by the way. It is a very, very unique taste. I mean, kind of like you spice up your... The Romans would grind the crap up like pepper and throw it into their food. I mean, it would still take, you know, a lot of consumption of lead for them to have an issue. I mean, you're talking about directly consuming lead. So the notion of, you know, touching lead, or much less lead being locked up in glass, or even the manufacture of lenses that are lead doped, you know, it's ridiculous. I mean, the Europeans are just insane about that, and they're kind of like our Californians are just like, oh God, no, it's lead. All lead, by the way, lead is not really a naturally occurring element. All lead is depleted uranium. Something like 99.9% of all lead does not naturally occur. It is the end product of the depletion of uranium. The same way that bismuth is not a naturally occurring element, is the end product of the result of the decay of neptunium. But anyway, none of that's really important, or probably that you care about it. Like ordinary glass has a refractive index of 1.5. The addition of lead doping produces a refractive index of 1.7. And there are some obscure Zeiss references on Zeiss websites. They talk about the addition of lead, titanium, and lanthanum oxide. They don't actually mention in what parts or how it's added or where in the process it's added, but Zeiss still admits that they actually dope their glass with lead. And that is actually one reason why, like, old lead crystal is like, God, that glass is kind of heavy. Yeah, it's doped with lead. It's full of lead. And, you know, these really expensive, at $1,800 Zeiss lens, 35mm 1.4, it is doped with lead. There are certain things that can't be gotten around. And, you know, the advent of ED glass, things have really not gotten better in the past 60 years in lenses. People think, well, it has. We've eliminated chromatic aberration. We've got, you know, sharper lens. You know, these guys that have been handling old Zeiss and contact and Leica lenses, you know, from 50, 60 years ago, I mean, they'll tell you flat out that's just BS. You know, if you actually look back at some of the really hardcore professional old Zeiss and contacts lenses from 50, 60 years, like, damn, you know, that's sharper than anything we got now. It's like, yeah, you're right. You're right, and there's a reason for that. And that was kind of like, you know, the same reason that an old Rolls-Royce is not nothing close to a modern Rolls-Royce. They would actually take it apart and examine it. Just anyway, that's an analogy. Obviously, I'm being verbose here, but the point is that that's a secret ingredient in Zeiss lenses, and also in those Voigtlander lenses that you're buying. They got lead in them. You know, it's not about lead or toxicity. It's the fact that you know, this hippie environmental mentality nonsense of to eliminate lead from everything is BS for one. But number two, it's not true. The ROHS directive clearly states that lead and cadmium are exempt when it comes to optical glass, and Zeiss does still stick lead in their glass, and that's an awesome thing. Those Voigtlander lenses that, you know, are really awesome and rocking. I mean, people are sending me pictures from the 58mm Voigtlander Nocta, and they're like, holy crap, these are awesome. The color saturation and transmission, I mean, you're going to read about the specific nature of lenses as far as transmission and reflection and transmission and refraction in the next video after that, as far as the secret properties of lenses and what you need to understand. Well, you don't actually need to understand it, but it's actually very fascinating to know that. But what is making your lenses magical, as far as the Zeiss and the Voigtlanders and the contacts and the Leicas, is that of course they still use complex ED element glass like Nikon and Canon does, whereas Nikon has not completely eliminated lead. Canon has admittedly, and Forthright admitted they've eliminated lead, and Pentax has. But also, if you wonder why those old Nikkor lenses like the 135 millimeter that everybody bought a ton of and the old 105, why they feel really heavy, it's because that's leaded glass. Lead has a magical property of color saturation transmission and also special refractive index. It is irreplaceable. Now they have found replacements for it, but the replacements ain't up to snuff what lead does for the glass. And that's the reason why Zeiss is still using lead in their lenses. And that's not a bad thing. That's an awesome thing. I mean, if you want to know why Zeiss, people talk about Zeiss pop, i.e. micro contrast, or perceptual depth, it's because it's not the coating, okay? It's the secret recipe of their lens manufacturer, and they still do use lead, and that's a good thing. If you actually pick up some of those old contacts lenses, which those are all in the hands of collectors. I mean, they don't pop up anymore. When they do pop up, they cost a fortune, and they look like a train wreck. They're all beat up and bruised and dented and crap. But those lenses are just stellar. It's like, how the hell is this 50-year-old frickin' lens better than like a $2,000 modern Nikkor? How the F is that possible? I thought lenses have gotten better. Now, these are things that you will actually, these are things that people that know, I mean, they're sitting there with a smile, because the people that repair these old lenses, re-cement them, and, refurbish them a little bit, they know this stuff. And I'll give you a link to a couple of their websites. I mean, they sit there and they screw around with these really, really awesome old lenses, just like some old dude sitting there with a cigar going, you don't know what the F you're talking about, because he's been messing around with all this old glass and how awesome it is, and people think, glass has gotten so much better. Well, I mean, we've gotten better autofocus mechanisms, and we've gotten, improvements here and there on this and that, but I mean, mostly things have turned to plastic, and they become mass-produced, McDonald's hamburgers. And a lot of things, and I've had some people on a couple websites make fun of me, so these idiots say the lenses have gotten worse. It's like, yeah, the people that really do know a lot, I mean a damn lot about lenses, they'll actually tell you that's true. It's true. Some things have gotten better, like autofocus lenses, and then autofocus speed, and silent wave motors and optical image stabilization. I mean, all of that crap obviously didn't exist back then, so obviously that's a good thing. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about the hardcore, glass and metal only, no drives, no autofocus, no optical image. I'm talking about the hardcore shiznits of what goes on in the glass, as far as the secret of how it is actually made and its components. It's actually gone worse. But that's the reason why these expensive Zeiss lenses are expensive as well. The Voigtlanders are actually cheap, but they still use a lot of the same secrets. The Voigtlander has been around a lot longer than Zeiss has. However, they've changed a lot and they went out of business. But those secret recipes were passed down, and it is an undeniable fact that the one thing that Nikon and Zeiss and Voigtlander, these people, they will never tell you, even if you put a gun to their head, is they won't tell you the secret recipe. It's more secret than like the secret formula of Coca-Cola. I mean, it really is that complex, and that is what really makes up the company. Obviously fit and finish and quality of manufacture are incredibly important, but really they know, and the people to sign non-disclosure agreements, threat of being put in jail if they ever reveal anything, and nobody knows all the secrets. Only a few people actually, well, a couple people actually know all the secrets of how the lenses are made and the components and the times they're altered and made. But anyway, I thought you would like this as an intro, and watch out the next video. The next video on the secret nature of lenses will be much more informative and less of a snoozer. Some people probably think that this video is a snoozer, but I thought you'd like to know that. So anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you later.